I tell you a quick story, nothing to do with what happened to you, but kind of similar in terms of the impact. So when I was a kid, like first, second grade, I was not an easy child in terms
Mhm.
of mornings. I was not a morning person. As a kid, I did not want to. If my stomach would not feel well, and I never wanted to have breakfast. And also, I was an extremely competitive kid. So if I ever got a bad grade, that was bad for me.
Mhm.
I did not want to go to school that day. So the easiest way to get out of it was to refuse eating breakfast or doing anything, because then it would take forever. They would try to convince me and push and push, and then I would be late, and then it's too late to go to school. So anyway, one day things went too far because I had a bad grade, and I pushed not to go, and my mother pushed, and so in the end we have a major argument at home, like crazy argument, like major rebelling going on. And my mother, and of course no
You're like
school,
7 or 8 years old at the time.
yeah, something like that. And my mother grabbed me and she said, I can't deal with you, I'll let your teacher deal with you. And by this time, it was already over. Like everybody would be home. And she grabbed me and took me my teacher's.
Oh, wow.
So, of course, I'm thinking now I'm in real trouble because there is no hiding anything from my teacher about my grades. Plus, now I've done something bad at home and my mother is bringing me to her.
Right, right.
And at the same time, my mother is thinking, that's it. He is gonna know better next time. Because, but my teacher was, I can tell you today that there are, there's a couple of women in my life, the most important women. And my teacher comes before my mother.
What did she do to you?
She just sat down and talked to me. Like she made a huge impact. She
Hmm.
made a huge impact. That bad situation translated into an experience for me to appreciate her perspective and her compassion and everything else. There was no, and by the way, she used to beat her student. I was one of her students, and she used to beat her students. Like one day, the headmaster walked in, and she was in the middle of beating somebody with a ruler, and the guy felt bad and said, look, you're only beating yourself up. So she was not like one of those, oh, lovey-dovey kind of. No, she was strict, but there was no display of anything like that. It was the most impact in my life. So in your case, hearing you talk about, I mean, this guy completely unleashed the creativity in you. And you know what I did? This was my elementary school teacher. So I moved
Mhm.
on. Of course, I wasn't born in America. I left many, many, many years ago. And about 15 years ago, Derek, I had this urge to find her. Of course, the first thing that came to my mind was, is she still alive? And they have this Teachers Day,
Mhm.
International Teachers Day, and I found her. It took me 7 months to find, and I found her and I called her on Teachers Day, and she was like in tears. I
Oh,
said,
yeah, wow.
"You have no idea about the impact you made in my life." I said,
So
"You are not only someone who impacted me, but also one of the best teachers that I've ever seen. There's nobody like you." So it was a big deal for me. Anyway,
I've got to
it's
go. Yeah, maybe now I have to go back and deal with my old university and ask them to see if they keep records of like the system because it was like booked. The interview was booked through like some university system, like who I
listen.
interviewed with. Because I would probably be able to pick it out of a pile, but yeah, I don't remember. Like my mind like blanks out that interview, but all I knew walking away from it was like I should go make something. I should figure out something I want to exist and then just make it. And I've kind of been doing that my whole life ever since.
Yeah, I mean that's what did it for you. So I'm really happy. I'm glad you had that interview, and I'm glad that the floodgates open, and I'm glad you're doing this. So